So here we go again. Another Operation Arsenal, another negative result, this time at home to Brighton. 2-1 loss. I don't even know where to begin. I feel like I want to be super negative in this video, but actually, I think I also want to be positive because it's not over yet. Everyone's talking about top four this, top four that. The fact that Tottenham are probably favourites now, they've got the easier run in. And yeah, that's true, but football is football. Anything can happen. And it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden we bounce back and get a couple of wins in a row against even better sides than Crystal Palace and Brighton. There's no doubt we should have won these two games on paper. But of course, it comes down to the performance on the day. And it wouldn't surprise me if suddenly we get some good results. But it also wouldn't surprise me if we just could continue like this. And what was this? Let's talk about this, the performance today. Firstly, the goal from Trossard is just an absolutely amazing run from Mwepu down the right side. A lack of cover there from Xhaka, because guess what? He's not a left back. We're missing KT for the rest of the season. It's a huge, huge loss. Worse than losing Partey, in my opinion. And I think worse than losing Tomiyasu as well, who should be back soon. But it's just such an easy pass into the box, a little cut back, and then Trossard finishes it. Fair enough. Good goal. Hopefully we get one back, right? And then we do. We scored right on the stroke of half time. God, I could go on about this VAR decision for hours. The fact is, offside is offside. If they believe he's offside, they have to give it. I do understand that, but how did they determine that Gabriel Martinelli was offside when you can't even see? There's no angle available to really see it. It's almost guesswork. I don't know. It could have gone either way. That's how I feel. I would have given it. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, but even as a neutral, I think a lot of people would have said, look, you can't really see. I think it's Cucurella, the left back. He's quite a small guy. He's got big hair, but you can't really see him through the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper obviously isn't the player you're looking at there. It's Cucurella on the other side of him, and it's just impossible to see. So I feel like it's a little bit harsh, but what can you do? Into the second half, when it should have been 1-1, potentially, we then went 2-0 down, and Mwepu scores this one, and it's just beautiful, beautiful finish. He's some player, isn't he? He can play in midfield, he can play on the right side, left side. I've seen him play DM, attacking midfielder. He's got a bit of everything in him. I really quite like him. Lovely build-up play, 2-0, and at that point, you're just thinking, well, that's that then. But suddenly, we do get a goal back. Erdegaard with about 5 minutes left, give or take 5-6 minutes. We didn't know how much injury time there would be, but really it's a bit of a fluky goal. He smacks one and it just hits Welbeck and loops over the keeper. But then you saw what we can do. Where was that Arsenal team for the rest of the game? We just didn't look like we got going. Really, really frustrating because at the end we could have scored many, many goals if only we played like that for more of the game. And you can see here, Brighton up to 37 points now. Obviously, they're going to be fine this season, but the big problem is that we are still on 54 when you could argue we should be on 60. It's going to really hurt us. Looking at the points, the score for each player, you can see which team was deserving of the win. Mwepu was fantastic. I can't really say much about the Arsenal team. Lacazette is just having a torrid time right now. They say he's great at bringing in the play and getting the wingers involved. He hasn't been doing that, and he isn't scoring. He's not even shooting. He had to be dropped for this game, in my opinion. We're at home. We can afford to not play with Lacazette. Would have loved to seen Martinelli as a false nine, or even as a striker, or even Smith Rowe playing in that role. I think that's down to Arteta. He's trusting in Lacazette. And yes, if you look at the last 10, 15 games, Lacazette has done good stuff for us, but not as a striker. He's not getting us goals. He's involved in build-up most of the time, and that's still important. But can you imagine the difference today and against Palace maybe if we just had a proper number 9? Maybe Crystal Palace, it wouldn't have made a difference, but today it would have. It really would. I thought Smith Rowe was pretty terrible today. Really poor game for him. Saka as well didn't look too great. Martinelli, it's a difficult one. I think he looks dangerous. He looks the most dangerous. Every time he gets on the ball, he looks forward, but he always does this cut back. I don't know. Ødegaard went missing for most of the game, but then came up with that goal at the end. And he's future captain for me. I love Tierney, but if he's so injury prone, give it to Martin, man. Ødegaard is the future captain. And we can talk about Lokonga because I know a lot of people are going to say he was rubbish today, gave away the ball a couple of times. But you know what? I stand by that signing. I think Lokonga will be a good player for us. He needs someone like maybe a Partey or a Granit Xhaka next to him. He was much better when Xhaka stepped forward into midfield. Lokonga can't do it on his own. He is, I guess you could say, a number 6, but when he's got a number 8 next to him, he's a lot better. And Martin Ødegaard isn't a central midfielder. We already know that. So when he plays deeper, it means everything's on Lokonga if Ødegaard moves forward, which is really tough. Gabriel, Ben White, Cedric, Ramsdale, just average. It wasn't a good performance. It really wasn't. And we can take a look at the table here. If I go to Premier League. So we've now played the same games as Tottenham. They're about to kick off in a moment against Aston Villa. And we're level on points. They've just got a much stronger goal difference, mainly thanks to their huge win against Newcastle and our huge loss against Crystal Palace. We're looking at 3 losses from 4. Not good. We have to hope that Aston Villa turn up today and get a win, because if Tottenham win today, I do think that really, really makes it difficult, but it's very possible they won't win today. Manchester United lost today against Everton, so I think that's pretty much Man United done. I don't see how they're going to catch up. But again, 8 games to go for a lot of teams, or 7 games to go. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. At the bottom, though, things are heating up. We already know Norwich are pretty much gone, and I think Watford are too. Now they've played 31 games. But Everton with that win, Leeds have won as well. I think it might mean that Burnley are gone as well. But they could technically win a couple of games on the bounce and start climbing up, but I think that's unlikely. Anyway, let's get into your comments. We've got one here from Tomiyasu Shogun. Shogun? I don't know. It's honestly very difficult to really pin the blame on any one thing. It's true, there's just lots of things wrong. Injuries for key players, poor tactics. Yeah, I think Arteta got it wrong today. Players dropping stinkers, no January signings. Yeah, it's a case of everyone that can be at fault is at fault. Yeah, I think he's nailed it. He really has. I think the majority of the blame today goes to Arteta. Normally, I'm a big Arteta fan. I back the guy, and I still do. But today, he got it wrong. Moving Xhaka to left-back was the mistake. Nuno had to start for me. Tavares, not the best player for us recently. His last 2 performances, he's been hooked off at half-time or even sooner. But there were parts throughout the season where I thought he was quite good. And even if it meant going 3 at the back and getting Holding in there and then have Tavares as left wing back and maybe Cedric as right wing back, there was other ways we could have gone about today. I feel like moving Xhaka out of midfield was one of the worst things we could have done without Partey there as well. Instead of making just one change in midfield, we changed the whole thing. And that really didn't help. So I put that down to Arteta. But of course, most of the players didn't perform either. It's not just Arteta. Broke Student says, games in hand don't mean points. Also, let Ødegaard shoot. That free kick, when he passed it into Martinelli, that I was fuming. He is so good at free kicks. He almost scored one towards the end, and then we hit the bar with a chance afterwards. Why is he pass? Oh, it does my head in when that happens. Don't waste incredible opportunities like free kicks just outside the box. What a stupid decision that was. But this is something I've talked about before. A lot of people like to say, oh, we've got games in hand. We've got that position. It's ours. I will always take points on the board ahead of having games in hand. There is no way you can convince me otherwise. Points mean everything, of course. If you've got points on the board, they're done. They're sorted. They can't be taken away from you unless you do something stupid. And I don't know, you can do some stupid things to lose points. But honestly, this is a very, very good point. Just having games in hand isn't enough these days. You need the points on the board. We have another comment coming in. Top 4 is done now. The games only get harder. I don't agree with that being done now. It's not. It's not over till it's mathematically over, all right? Lacazette needs to be dropped. He can't control a pass anymore and won't shoot. Need to put faith back in Nuno. I agree. I really do agree. I know he's been bad, but he's not a terrible, terrible, terrible player that needs to be gone. He can still provide cover for Tierney. He just needs some confidence. Xhaka at left-back left too big a hole in midfield. Still not sure why VAR operated on guesswork. I mean, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong at all. Connor, for this to stay alive, we need Villa to do a job this evening. So this is a good comment as well, because it isn't just down to Arsenal. It is going to go down to other results as well. If Aston Villa do the job against Tottenham, it's almost a freebie loss, isn't it? It's okay. Not ideal, but it's okay. We still then have a game in hand, and then we have to beat... Are we playing Southampton next? I think it might be Southampton, which they've just lost 6-0 to Chelsea, so maybe we'll get them at a good time. Knowing Arsenal, they will lose. But, yeah, come on, Villa. I'll be cheering them on. Hopefully Coutinho has a good game. And then we had one from Scotty here saying, so disappointing, but we really showed what this match could have been in the last 10 minutes. Yeah, it's so true. So true. What would you guys have done to the lineup? What would you have done differently? Let me go back onto our page here. Honestly, you know, it's very clear that Brighton play with a very stacked central midfield. They have some really strong physical players. You know, I don't actually think Wepu was playing out just on that right side. He found himself in the middle quite a lot. Welbeck dropping deeper as well, getting the ball. Very, very difficult to beat them in midfield. So I kind of feel like we had to match them and play 3 strong midfielders. The problem is, with Partey out and Xhaka playing at left back, we were just completely void of strength in midfield. Lokonga isn't exactly a strong midfielder, and obviously Ødegaard is more a creative player, and Smith Rowe isn't the strongest. It was almost an accident waiting to happen, and that for me has to be the biggest point to come away with here, that Xhaka going to left back was just a really poor managerial decision. And, you know, I'm not going to say it lost us the game, but it certainly put us on that path. You know, we just couldn't compete in midfield. As soon as Xhaka went into midfield, we were a lot better. But it doesn't matter. We've lost the game in so many ways. This even if we managed to get the equaliser at the end, I still would have been so disappointed with the performance. It wasn't good enough, but hopefully we come back fighting in our next game. Should we have a look at our fixtures? We need to have a look and see how bad this is going to be. So, yeah, Southampton away. Let's say we win that game. I think we can win that. Chelsea, probably going to lose that one. Man United at home is a really tricky one. I don't know how I feel about that, because Man United are pretty shocking. But it just wouldn't surprise me if we just don't turn up, you know. But let's say we get a draw against Man United. So we're looking at 4 points in our next 3 games, because I think Chelsea will beat us at Stamford Bridge. I think we might get a result against West Ham. Maybe. Let's say we get 3 points there. We'll beat Leeds at home. We will lose to Tottenham. I would put money on us losing to Tottenham. I don't feel confident about that game whatsoever. We'll probably draw against Newcastle, and then we'll beat Everton at home. That won't be enough points. And that's me being generous in some situations. And of course, look, I don't want to be Mr. Negative, me saying that we're going to lose to Tottenham. I just feel that as a fan, that when it comes to that, our team is so young, so inexperienced in most positions, we won't be able to handle the pressure. That game right there could decide who gets the Champions League spot, the last one, and who gets 50 to 100 million extra in their bank balance in the summer. It's such a big game, and you saw it today. There's just a lack of experience in this team, and that's what you get with young players. It's what happens. It's only going to make us stronger, and that's a positive that you take from this. But when it comes to this run-in, we're going to lose more games. We're going to drop points. We're not going to win every single game. We just have to hope other results go our way. You know, Tottenham will drop points, and I'm sure Man United will drop points as well. But even if I'm super, super generous, okay, so win, draw, win, draw, win, draw, win, win, would that be enough? I don't know. Maybe. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed my review of today's match. And we'll be back next Saturday for the huge game against Southampton, which you could argue is the easiest game we're going to have until the end of the season. So it's an absolute must-win.